Hello and good evening for this Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. We just finished watching episode 12 of Survivor season 44 titled I'm the Bandit. I'm Dave Mater here on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. How are you guys doing tonight? We are joined with, of course, Josh Foster, the hat trick expert himself and our challenge enthusiast coming to us from New England. Actually, no, just down the road. How are you tonight, Foster?
I'm doing well, Dave. Thanks for asking. You know what? It's middle of the week, like always. It's always a good time, and just I'll get to do the long weekend this weekend. It's gonna be exciting.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, joining me here, if you're listening with the audio version, you haven't clued in yet. Here to us from the actual original England, the old England, if you will, is Benny Graves himself, the third, some say.
I do. Hi, everybody.
He walked from Heathrow to London or something.
Well, I walked from London, Victoria to Heathrow, then got on a plane.
Yes.
Then walked through Toronto.
Then
walked down Brent. I walked many a mile.
He's walked, planes, trains,
many a kilometer.
Planes, trains, automobiles, and on foot. He's been all around. He's gone from continent to continent today, and watched an episode of Survivor.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased. The first fucking thing, can I swear on it?
Yeah.
The first thing I ended up doing is watching Survivor. Thanks for that, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome. We thought we'd give you some culture once you got here. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm still waiting.
So some exciting stuff. Of course, Ben, you haven't been watching this season. You're not a fan of the show, so you're coming to us from almost the antagonistic point of view. But
I'm trying to keep my mouth shut. Just let you do things.
But try to be open minded as we talk about the story of this episode. Foster, before we went on the air, you were mentioning you liked this episode.
Yes, I do. I think that the way that to me, from beginning to end, the way that I think that the show was directed in terms of, it's Carolyn going out, Jam's betraying her, Carson's actually thinking about it, but there's also that like Carson, dialogue where he's, consistently saying like, I want the three, right? So it kind of had me on the edge of my seat up until the very end, even when they presented the votes for Jaemeel over Carolyn's, right? So it was a good episode overall, front to back, and we're gonna check it out today.
Yeah, I gotta say, I thought that this was a big misdirect. I thought it was almost too obvious that they're like, it's gonna be Carolyn. It's gonna be Carolyn. We're gonna make you think it's Carolyn, and then it's Jaemeel, and her story is very anticlimactic because she doesn't really give us a ton in this episode. In terms of her thoughts on the whole matter. It's kind of that's
it's another Carolyn episode. They just focus once again on her. It's clear. It's been more and more clear, Dave, these last few episodes that we said at the beginning, we said at the first episode, Carolyn is gonna be a star. Right? They're going to show her a lot, which they do. Right? But what I'm getting at is the whole season is her. So does that mean that she's getting to final 3 right now? Does that mean that she's getting to you know what I mean? It seems to me that they're setting her up for something almost not to fail is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but also the story of this episode also was all about Jam, and Jam wanted to get Carolyn out now and was really pushing hard. Even Carson's really? She just saved me with an idol last vote. We're Tika Strong, we're the Three Stooges. Why wouldn't we keep this going? And so it was it felt okay, this is it. This is when Jam cut Carolyn, and this was Jam's big move because Jam goes on to win this game. Maybe, right? We don't know. But this seemed like this could be a thing here, and ultimately they don't do that. I think because Carson has more sway is sort of my read on it. But we can.
Yeah, I think that what we didn't see, because they showed a lot of Jam basically repeating kind of the same lines over and over about betraying and having to make that decision now. And, making sure that he doesn't go to the final 3 with her because he thinks she can win. Like he said it. They said it a few, or he said it a few times throughout the episode, or they went during the one-on-ones, right? And what I thought was with Jam, he was gonna split, but I think that in the end, like he said, like with his heart, like he couldn't do it because I think that they didn't show, first of all, the conversations that he had with Carson on the side.
Not
And
much of that.
no, they said like one conversation, which so there was definitely more because I think that Carson, like you said, would have been a lot of reassurance for Jam, especially because they showed a few clips at the beginning where Carson was like, and obviously for good reason, right? She just used an idol on him, right? Regardless of it working or not, right? Or being needed or not. But, at the end of the day, well, talk about not working. Why did Heidi play that idol, right? What a waste.
Big waste. I just think it shows the jury and the viewers that she doesn't have a really good read on what the heck's going on.
No,
or at least she was like, she didn't feel confident enough. She just said, everyone's lying to you. And like, if you're out there, I bet you do think everyone's lying to you. Why wouldn't you? Obviously, Jaime thought she was in the know and she wasn't in this vote tonight.
No, Jaime, I was somewhat surprised that Jaime was kind of like, they focused a little bit on Jaime's strategy tonight. Like, oh, we're going to separate when they get to the reward, and they separate Carolyn from Jam and create the fracture and all that. And what you said, it was misdirection, right? It wasn't enough is what I'm trying to get at. Right. And because like it was kind of failed attempts. So like, once again, we were led to believe that it was them breaking up. Right. So now we look at it realistically, right? And it's final 5 and there's 3 members of Tika, right? The odds of them going to final 3 together are extremely high now.
Well, yeah, they only have to get 2 other people out now. They're 3 of the last 5. So
no, and even I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the next immunity challenge. Like tonight's was I think if Lauren didn't win tonight, she would have gone home.
I think you might be onto something there. I think Lauren has been a target, but Jaime it seemed like was as equally good of an option. I
don't know why.
And Heidi too, but Heidi was also mentioned by the Tika 3. Like, they don't really care; they just want to get them out. My real question, I think, comes out in this episode was like, was this the best way to tell this episode's story? Was the storytelling here good? And I don't know if it was. I feel like the storytelling was, whether you're a fan of the show or not, Benny, like you're coming in cold here. You don't know the season. You don't know the characters.
I know of it. I had to watch that shit when I lived it.
You know what Survivor is in theory, right? Or
it's
like
Big Brother on an island. Yeah,
it's Big Brother on an island, and you're all like, you're being filmed all the time, but you're basically voting each other out. And
very sordid, very cloak and dagger.
And this episode was trying to tell us this story that Jam was going to betray Carolyn, but ultimately doesn't, and she was in massive danger. And these looks that she's giving at the tribal council, right, where she's licking her lips and she's giving these expressions, right? Like, I almost feel like we need to go to it, because like it was something else here.
Yeah, look at that mug.
Yeah,
my word.
Oh my goodness, the triggers. The dagger
rocking those eyebrows for all they're worth.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen such. But once again, her facial expression reactions, right, are just unmatched. I've never seen that in Survivor.
And but also Jam's very expressive. And I was like, Jam was giving this look like this is when we went out and we shot Carolyn. This is when we cut Carolyn from the game. I was sure of it.
Cold. He was cold-blooded looking tonight.
But then it's totally not that. It's completely this story that, oh well, Jaime Lynn, they decided to vote Jaime Lynn out, and they did tell us that in the episode. But like, if I don't know, like, as Jaime as a character has been something on the show. I don't know. I felt like she maybe deserved a little better than this.
I mean, well, all right, now I'd have to strip it bare at this point. Don't worry about Jaime. I have no opinion on her.
Yeah, they
But yeah,
didn't
that's true.
really.
And it doesn't matter now. She's gone.
They didn't really give her much of a story, right? Like you said, and they didn't. But they also like the way that they kind of used her was they kind of used her as the very like kind of hippie, go lucky, happy, just really like positive energies, but like just trying to be a part of things, right? But not really a part of something like bigger, if you will.
Right.
Like once the alliances broke, once the groups broke up, she was kind of lost.
She was. Let's hear Jamie's exit interview here, just to get a. I didn't get even a chance to see this before we came on, so I'll be watching this for the first time myself.
Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful to make the top 6. This is a huge accomplishment. Finding an idol, that was one of my number 1 goals, and I'm so grateful. I am proud of myself for overcoming so many fears. I can do anything at this point, and I had so much fun playing my favorite game in the entire world.
Okay.
Called it. I stopped watching her thing after after she said I'm just like the first like sentence of I'm happy to be here.
She was like, she had no ill will towards anybody. She was completely happy to be voted out of the game. She was like, I'm going to get, a nice shower now and get to kind of live it up at Ponderosa while I wait to vote out the people. I get like another 5 days in Fiji without having to live in the dirt.
She's been on TV. It's all good.
She's on TV now. She wasn't gonna win the game from my perspective anyway. Very unlikely. So
no, she definitely wasn't. Like she was more a vote. Like she wasn't great in challenges. Like once she was easy to work with, but there wasn't a lot of people that trusted her.
Her number 1 goal, she says in this exit interview, Josh, is my goal. My number 1 goal was to find an idol, and she says, and I accomplished that. But she has no idea that it was a fake idol.
Yeah, I don't. It's
it was.
So that she blew that opportunity, but it is what it is. She'll find out, or she did find out, I guess, already, right? Because for the taping, but yeah, no, it's she once again. She had a good run. It is what it is. We move on. Next up, hard left.
Hard left. Okay.
We still have a full episode to talk about.
We still have a full episode to talk about. Okay, let's Okay, so coming off of the Danny vote out.
Oh my goodness, I love. Yeah, good recap. Good recap photo, Dave.
He got voted out. It was a lot of the episode early on is kind of telling us this story about, Carolyn was very happy that she got him out. She was happy that she saved Carson with the idol, even though she technically didn't need to. She has no sort of remorse around that because last week she played an idol to save a guy, but it wouldn't have mattered because the votes, there was more votes on Danny anyway. But she was okay with that. That ultimately maybe saves her in this episode, but also it put a target on her because it's this whole story about how she's telling the story of how she found the idol in the first place and how she kept that a secret and how she did this whole misdirect for the tribe and Jam Jam's like, shut up, Carolyn. You're going to make yourself a target here. You're going to make yourself show everyone how smart you are. And I don't know, because everyone's been kind of painting her as this figure that's kind of dumb and doesn't know what's going on. And she's been kind of playing into that herself too. As she would say, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. Where's my Carolyn when they think
I'm confused.
Nice.
Yeah, no, she really she does have a way with her words too, right? Like it seems like this episode they were all in awe of her, right? This was the first time they were all just
they all woke up. It was like they
you. Oh my
goodness.
This
awakening to her that she was actually now a threat. That this person that they've written off as just being eccentric and dumb and doesn't have a clue what game or show she's on is actually got a decent chance to win here. And even Jam Jam in particular wakes up to this fact and you see him like just sort of pondering it here as she's kind of explaining everything, and she's oblivious. So they know that if she was really that good of a player, she wouldn't tell them all this, but she's good. She knows just enough to be dangerous, and they're probably just about trying to reassess, like, if I'm sitting at the end with Carolyn, is the jury going to give her the money? I would have said no before this vote. Now, maybe yes, maybe they would very much consider. They saw how they were reacting to when she played the idol on Carson, even though it was irrelevant. It was a big move that she even had the idol, and she was able to fool everybody that she didn't have it. And so that was kind of like the whole thing here. And Jam Jam's just like, I was fooled by her, and she's one of my closest allies. I'm one of her closest allies, you know. So,
well, yeah, like it was interesting because I don't know why did Carolyn explain, which I don't think she did. I don't think Carolyn explained why she told them about what her plan was and everything with the idol.
She's like, I'm sorry I lied, but she doesn't really give a good explanation in terms of what I saw in the edit. It was more
she
just,
said, she said that's what she said.
She said, sorry, I'm sorry I lied, but you know, I couldn't risk something. I think she just kind of, you know, it's not a super specific answer, but
it's almost like she didn't, obviously they didn't reveal this or anything like that, right? She felt guilty or something like that. Now she just like needed to let it out, just like, hey, like this was the situation, this is what happened, you know, no big deal, right? Just get it over with and move on, right?
I feel like she wanted to like come clean, if you will. She wanted to
that's a good way of putting. Yeah, thank you, Dave. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, she'd been like holding on to this information in secret, and she just kind of like blurted it all out and like told everybody what was up, you know. And so I guess that's that. I don't know how to really evaluate that from a strategic point of view, but it was that's kind of what I got the sort of vibe for. Next part of the episode here, though, was Heidi waking up early, pretending like she's going to the bathroom, which there's no bathroom in the woods, of course. But you know, like, you know, she gets up early. Carson's notices, and they all decide that they're going to go hunting for idols because they assume because Carolyn played her idol that one's been put somewhere in the jungle. So as soon as like it's dawn, basically, like they're searching for it, and you know, it's very obvious. And I thought that was what ultimately was going to be the story of this episode, was going to be that Carolyn actually secretly found the idol, and even though that they were going to come after her in this episode, and Jam Jam was going to betray her, that she was going to somehow save herself, and nobody expected it to happen. You know, I thought that was going to be the misdirect. That would have been amazing. Instead, we get this whole idea that Jam Jam was really considering voting her out, but ultimately doesn't. I guess is kind of what happens here, because Carson wasn't ready to do it. He wanted to get out Jamie or Lauren in this particular vote. And so I think Carson is really directing those three stooges a lot. You know, I think he has a ton of sway in terms of how, especially over Jam Jam, it feels like he's even telling Jam Jam, like, Jam Jam, you're my number one, right? Like, you know, like you and Carolyn are my people, but you're above her. You're higher up in the ranking for me.
I don't think there's an idol at all. Like, if you think about this, Carolyn just played an idol, sure, but Heidi still has an idol, right, in the game. So there's no way with 6 people left that they're going to put another idol in when they can only use it for, 2 more tribals?
It wouldn't be unprecedented, but you're right. It would be sort of like, come on, guys, can we just stop planning idols every 5 minutes?
So exactly, right? Like I was, I was very surprised by this very quick, boom, boom, let's go look for an idol, right? And they were like, Carson gets up and just like, Carolyn, let's go. Heidi's looking for the idol, right? We got to go. What? And they all just scramble and go look. What's the path for my draft pick Heidi to win?
We got a question here from Jane Mater, big fan of the show. She's saying, what's the path for my draft pick Heidi to win?
She needs to win an immunity challenge.
At least.
Yeah.
I think her playing this idol, I think maybe got a little bit of notice here in this episode. But I feel overall Heidi, I don't know, like it's clear that they respect that she's intelligent, but she's also not the best social player from what I can tell. You
No,
know?
it seems like it's weird because it's like the one I think it was the last episode a couple episodes ago when she was working with Danny. It was like, but then she tried to go rogue and then go against Danny, right? Like she wasn't really like basically with anybody,
Who's here?
and because she hasn't been here in a while, or sorry, she hasn't been with anybody for a while. Then she doesn't have been able to clear path. The problem with Heidi Jane is she's had no clear direction, right? So if she needs to have some sort of staple at the end of the game to get some sort of recognition to get some votes to the final. That's my take.
Coming in at 9:41 in this episode, p.m. Eastern, if you're following along in the live stream, Jaemeel Robinson,
Funko's finest, Jaemeel
Funko's
Robinson.
finest here coming in.
Wow.
You may have noticed, Jaemeel, we have Benny Graves with us here in the studio here in Burlington.
Benny, stay away. Benny, stay away. My throat is okay. Finally recovered from last year from Brantford.
Yes, well, I'm sure everyone knows exactly what you're talking about on that one.
Benny, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Of course,
Yeah.
every chance I get.
This was a hard episode to get through. There's a lot of momentum that has been kind of stopped dead in its tracks, and an episode of this kind, especially with the individuals who have been left in the game. Some are players and some are not. Foster, I caught the tail end of what you're talking about, and you're absolutely correct in terms of Heidi. From what we've seen, and we always have to preface it because we're not seeing everything, so there could be something that we weren't shown. But from what we've presented on the television program, Heidi ain't it. Heidi ain't it. She hasn't really done anything to really separate herself from the pack, and yeah, you're absolutely right.
I appreciate that, Jaemeel. And by the way, for those who are watching the YouTube, Jameel's got the funkiest of shirts going on tonight. It's great. I love it.
That's now a vintage Vashel Fun Employees jersey, which is a team that just
it will live on forever. I don't care what anyone says.
Live on forever. It will go down with the California Golden Seals, perhaps, and the Colorado Rockies and Minnesota North Stars and other franchises that maybe have
the Nordiques.
Yeah, other relocations that with of course the Mallrats came from the Red State Raiders, and later they hit somebody Hitman.
Is Atlanta Thrashers still a thing?
Atlanta Thrashers and now the Winnipeg Jets. So
there you go. Yeah, see,
but the original Winnipeg Jets are now the Phoenix Coyotes. So just figure that out. There's a lot going on with the relocations. Yeah. So this year, I believe that the Fun Employees are called the Tigers in the Walter Gretzky Street Hockey Tournament. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, which you probably don't. So, but that's why Benny's here in the studio. He's come in from England for the hockey tournament that we have every year in Brantford, Ontario. Of course, Josh Foster, myself, and Jeff Mader and Jaemeel all have competed in this tournament and attended annually. So it's a big thing. So
we're all on different teams pretty much too. So it's a fun time. It's a little gets competitive.
Yeah,
a lot
trash talking.
A lot of trash talk. There's been I was on Dave's team to start the tourney series, and I got poached to another team.
Well, he says he got poached. I think it was a free agent sort of fleeing.
Well, there was some kind of muddy waters with his
childhood friends expansion team that was.
Yeah, well, there was some money. Yeah, there was expansion team, and there's some muddy waters about a star brother who may or may not be playing, and they got stuck with me instead. So. Anyways, it's a great time. Brothers going against each other too. It's with Dave and Jeff, and
we've had brother versus brother. We've had husband versus wife. We've had all kinds of things in the Vashel.
Of course, Jaemeel, of course, is there as well. We just we don't see him very often. We get the pleasure of I get the pleasure of seeing him. This was like one of the few times, if not just the only time of the year. It's a great time.
Well, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be mostly drinking and hanging out. So
As will I.
Well, there
And
you
I'm
go.
gonna have a
as will
great
this
tournament.
man.
I'm gonna have a
Getting-
great tournament. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, we've mostly been not talking about Survivor while you've been gone, Benny.
Good.
We've mostly been
This
talking.
podcast is taking a turn for the better, right?
We've been mostly talking about the Vashel, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. This podcast might be good yet.
But back to back to the show.
Yes, the important business at hand.
Heidi, Jaemeel, you're not loving. She's not winning this season. Okay, can I ask you this? My question to you is this: was this episode good storytelling in terms of like this season? You know, like what did we need this? I'm the Bandit. Was this a good chapter of the show?
It felt like a prelude. It felt like a prelude, and it was just kind of re-emphasizing specific things that we already knew. Most notably, Jam Jam and Carolyn's relationship, really emphasizing that and the shaky nature of it, right? But did it really show us Lauren's game or Heidi's game, right? Or Jamie's game? Not really.
Not really. Not especially not Jamie. Jamie gets voted out in this episode, and it's almost like, okay, yeah, Jamie, you weren't going to win anyway, but for whatever reason, we need to vote you out. So okay, and but I guess they had to, Heidi plays this idol, so if they weren't going to vote out Jamie, then they were going to vote out Heidi. Heidi plays the idol, and Lauren had immunity as well. So in the challenge, so and ultimately
Lauren had an immunity.
But the story of the episode they were trying to get into here was like, well, Jam Jam is thinking about turning on Carolyn now. Carolyn has now suddenly become a threat in the mind of Jam Jam, and he wants to turn on her, and that ultimately he doesn't, because I think Carson says no. I don't want
bad move. It's a bad move. As much as I like Carolyn, right? As much as I do, and I do like her a lot, isn't it worse to go and say, man, this person's playing a great game. Man, this person's playing a great game. Man, this person's playing a great game. And then don't vote them out. And if they get to the end, everyone in the jury is going to be like, they're going, Jam Jam kept saying she was playing such a great game. That's all they could think about. Like, you've made it into reality. You turn what was a thought into reality, and it becomes the zeitgeist of the entire tribe, right?
Right.
You have to vote it out.
I think that the amount of times that Jam Jam says it in this episode alone, I was like, yeah, like you're setting it up. I think he wants to set it up that he's going to cut her, and it ultimately isn't this vote, but I think he still wants to. You know, he just like, I'll do it next vote, I guess is what Carson talks him into here, is ultimately that's the logic he succumbs to, and just says, okay, let's just vote out Jamie now. Then we'll definitely have the numbers. We'll have 3 of the final 5 is the Tika 3. And, you know, and we just pick off Heidi and or who's the other person in the game?
Lauren.
My pick.
On screen.
My pick, Lauren.
Your pick. You were assigned her. She was she was not chosen, so she was. You had the first pick, so you got the last pick as well. Lauren, what do you think? Like, I don't think Lauren's the worst Survivor player I've ever seen, but I don't think.
Oh my goodness! I've got something to say about Lauren.
Boss is ready. He's like,
I'm ready. I got. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So I gotta do what I got. Sorry, I gotta make sure I got. Okay. It's not great. It's not something special. I just want to make sure, right? I forget sometimes.
No, it is special. The way you hyped it up, Jam Jam.
Lauren is nothing special.
The suspense here.
Lauren is nothing special. The preface for that, right? But like she's got 2 immunity idols now. Okay, but great. That's just great. But my issue is that I try to look at, you know, the whole game in the sense that, you know, how active were you, right? And I've never seen someone sit out so much in a season. I don't care. I'm going to carry it to if she makes it to the final 3, I will not be happy, right? Because I don't think she deserves to be there, right? Like she kind of coasted
if she wins fire, if she wins final immunity, and she, you know, decides to do fire and wins to get to the end, Does that make up for it? That means she's technically won 2 challenges in a row. One that she could have avoided, but decided to play instead, with the chance of going home automatically.
Is there a path where Lauren wins, Foster, in your mind? Like, even if it's unlikely.
Even with Jaemeel's even with Jaemeel saying that she has to win she gets another immunity and does the fire back to back, I think that she also would have to do a big move.
Okay, she needs a big move.
She beats Carolyn or Carson.
Yeah, like something like that. Like she makes like some sort of like, whether it's in a challenge or it's with a vote. I was thinking more of a vote, like kind of like being like a part of a majority of taking out a Carson or a Carolyn, even or a Jam Jam, right? Even one of the Tika 3 right now. They're all very strong candidates, right? Like, I just think if you're putting them all together, Carolyn stands out, right? If you're going to vote for somebody, if you separate them, right? They all can be their own winners right now, I think.
Well, I think, but if you're one of those Tika 3, Jaemeel, like, aren't you thinking like, why would Carolyn, if you're Jam Jam, why is Carolyn or Carson's story any more compelling than mine? Like, I feel like all 3 of them could have that same perspective where they don't necessarily view each other as much of a threat as a non-member, and sitting as the 3 of them is sitting as the final 3 maybe behooves all 3 of them, in their own mind, even if that's not actually the case.
Well, Carson has won single-handedly 2 team challenges, but has yet to win an individual immunity. Jam Jam has won individual immunity, and Carolyn has won, not really won, but she found a hidden idol, kept it a secret for a long-ass time, and used it in a fashion that was well-regarded and respected.
Yeah.
Plus, all 3 of them technically have a good social game. So you're kind of right in terms of like each of them could, in their own mind, feel that they are the hero of their story of this season, and feel like it's theirs to win.
And they just got to plead their case to the jury from their own perspective. If you're Carson or you're Jam Jam or you're Carolyn, they might all have relative confidence that they can sort of talk to why I should win other than these other 2, whichever one of them it is.
But isn't that like, wouldn't that set us up for probably one of the best final tribals? Because if Lauren and Heidi are there versus like Carson or Jam Jam or Carolyn.
No, I think they'll want to get those people out because it complicates things. Because if it's Heidi if Heidi's in the final 3 with 2 of them, then they might think, well, Heidi can talk about being the last surviving member of Soka, and she might have these reasons that might or might not.
The die is cast, though. The die is cast, regardless of whatever outcome for Heidi and Lauren to be in the finals. They will be in the finals with one of the other. One third of the Tika trio. There's nothing they can do now.
Like I said, like that's why I had to add that for Lauren to win. I think Lauren has a better chance than Heidi. And, once again, but Lauren, like I said, has to win another immunity and win fire, in my opinion, and make a move. Like so that.
Heidi has the hardest path to winning of the final.
I don't know how she can win it. I'm sorry.
She's for second place, in my opinion.
Sorry. Now that we have to go back. Sorry, Jane. I'm sorry to go back on your.
There's no path. Foster says there's no path for.
There's no path after this long discussion. After this long discussion with the panel,
watch Heidi wins this season now.
I would be in shock and awe. She would have to win 2 immunities plus fire and a big move.
Yeah, she would need all these things. And
Jeff, I have this super immunity idol that eliminates 2 other people from this game, so it's a final 2. I would like to catch that.
She'd have to give a killer final speech, I think.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all these things would have to happen. Okay, so let's talk about the challenge that we got in this, where they got divided up into teams. I guess this is the reward challenge, where they were putting these balls, Foster, where they had to direct them down this path, and then they
Blindfolded.
blindfolded. It seemed dangerous to me. It seemed like a hazard. It seemed like people kind of get their hands crushed in this thing, because we can see that they get put in this thing, and early on they're very close quarters, and then they have to go through this obstacle course and to finally get to a maze that they have to solve, and all these things for the chance to get the best reward you've ever heard of: sandwiches, cookies.
Oh yeah, I like
Iced tea,
this.
juice.
I like the dessert. I want to see some fried stuff. Like let's see some like chicken.
A foot massage. Don't forget the foot massage, though.
Yeah, Foster, you're one of those. I can understand that. That's fine.
I mean,
Does that tip the balances?
maybe if it was a back massage. No, I don't care about a foot massage. I'll take a back massage maybe, but including shoulders.
Foot massage is not worth it.
No, it's just it is what it is. My feet are gonna immediately start hurting again, anyways, right? So because you're just gonna start using the pound in those things, right? So why would you waste it on that?
Very true.
This reward challenge, though. So the purple team was Jaemeel,
Which I love. Which I love. Sorry, Dave. Which I love. You know that I love the reward challenge.
You love when there is a reward. You love more challenges. More challenges.
Sorry, yes, I love when there is a reward challenge. Thank you, Dave.
Okay. And so in this one, we had Jamie in the purple team. She was inside the ball, and then her teammates were Carolyn and Heidi. They were blindfolded. The orange team, which went on to win this challenge, was Carson in the ball with Jam Jam and Lauren. Blindfolded. And orange really won this very easily. But early on, it was like I thought that the people blindfolded could potentially get hurt here, because they were almost like caught in between these two balls that seem to be made of bamboo. Does this seem hazardous to you, Benny?
Well, I'm sure they've got insurance. Don't worry about it. This is the 44th season of this goddamn thing.
Yeah. But you get hurt out there, then you're pulled from the game. Like sometimes the doctor decides for you. So.
Oh, good. Well, let's hope that might be on the cards.
Yeah, well, it was a long track they went down, Foster. Like, look how far this. Like, there was a little road they had to direct this thing down. There was one point where Jeff couldn't. Like, he had to between the two balls. He had to kind of keep going back and forth.
Because Carolyn was lost.
Oh my god, that was hilarious. She's like wandering like this. We're like, where do I go? I'd be freaking out. I don't do well like navigating in the dark. Like,
Carolyn got lost her ball there for a while, and she was chasing after it, blindfolded, mind you. Running down this path, coming out here. But ultimately, yeah, orange wins this thing. I don't know if like there's a maze thing here. Purple was lucky to sort of get to the end of it,
and no one got hurt.
So Carolyn was the star of this one, but it was like there's only two men left.
Carson dominated again. I think like he navigated the team really well.
Right, and at the reward we see here at the spa, they're getting their foot massages. They're they're having their different treats and whatever, and they're kind of talking about Carolyn. Carolyn's the one they want to get out, but we already kind of know it from earlier in the episode that this is what Jam Jam and Carson are telling Lauren and Jamie anyway. They're just saying, oh yeah, Carolyn, we're going after Carolyn. Whether they, I think from Carson's perspective, he doesn't believe it, but I think the more Jam Jam tells these two this, the more he's kind of like, yeah, maybe we do get Carolyn out now. Maybe like I'm going to look back on this and say, this was my chance to get out Carolyn and win the game, and I didn't. So I think that's kind of what they're trying to go for. And you're right, this back and forth relationship with Jam Jam and Carolyn, where they betray each other in terms of like not giving each other information, leaving each other out of votes, but not actually targeting one another really.
I would say Jam Jam has been very heavy-handed in that regard compared to Carolyn. Yes, Carolyn did it once, and Jam Jam does it repeatedly.
Jam Jam has always been way more propensity to want to cut Carolyn than the other way around. You know, he's less loyal to her than she is to him, I think. But that's kind of gone back and forth too. You know, but you know, I think ultimately Carolyn keeps talking about how she's this emotional player, and there's nothing wrong with being an emotional player, and it's just a new style of Survivor, and he takes on that.
Benny,
I don't know if it's a new style of Survivor.
Benny's like, I don't know what's going on, man. We keep on asking.
Like, what is this show?
I mean, you know, I've come across it before. You
You
don't want to hear my opinions, okay?
We do. We want your takes.
Be lengthy and uninvited.
What you're you despise the format of a reality show.
I'm not really. I don't really like reality TV anyway. I think people should, read books or something. I think it makes
You can do both.
they make
You
you
can do
dumber.
both, or read Wikipedia like others.
Oh, well,
I read wikis and I get a lot of great
That's
information.
like double dumb. Getting dumb twice. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I got a different
It's
style.
terrific. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Big Brother Canada is bad enough. This is like.
Is this worse or
I
better?
think this is worse actually.
This is worse or better?
It's more. Less happens.
Do you think more happens in Big Brother Canada?
Well, yeah, not a lot more, but it seems like
This is only
more-
once a week.
more
versus
zany characters.
Big
whereas-
Brother, we have 3 times a week, so it's kind of a whole.
Yeah, I know,
You know.
yeah, it goes all year. Big Brother USA, Big Brother Canada, then Survivor.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, look,
And then
you're forgetting
the-
Big Brother Australia, Big Brother UK is coming
Celebrity
back.
Big
as well.
Brother.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I don't live at your house.
We used to.
Me and Jameel's house. Your house.
Oh,
is bad
I
enough, so yeah.
I don't. I watch all the world's Big Brother. I don't. I usually stick to Canada and US, and when we're not podcasting, I am taking a break. because
Okay.
it
This
becomes
used to be Benny's room right here.
Yeah, well, it is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Do you have a black light?
I don't know who you're
sorry,
talking to.
Foster. Sorry, you were about to say something, and I just went and got Benny involved. What were you gonna say?
Honestly, it's I don't know. It's all good.
Sorry.
Jameel, for those who can't see it, Jameel's just dying right now. It's of laughter. But no, once again, like it was a lot of the same things in this episode, though. Hey guys, it was just a lot of we recognize Carolyn. She's
It was very repetitive. I don't feel like there was a lot of nuance. Like there was just like it was kind of like this whole thing. It's gonna be Carolyn, and then it's not at the end of the episode. And so let's just talk about the immunity challenge before we get into the tribal council.
One last thing on this subject. This should have been combined with last week's episode. They could have just added like maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes because you want to see the challenges, Foster.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking of you. And then just put all the babble that is just repetitive as like, yeah, okay, tribal, done. Like, it didn't need to be 2 separate episodes. Anyways, Dave, continue.
Well, I think that like it's gonna be interesting next season with like they're supposed to be getting 90-minute episodes instead of an hour episodes. So it's going to like this episode was kind of a little bit a misdirect, a little bit of a letdown. I know I'm happy Carolyn stayed in the game. I was like, I guess this is the end of Carolyn's story, and it wasn't. So I was just like, why didn't you tell Jamie's? Like, I don't think she really needed. Like, I know she wasn't necessarily everyone's favorite, but I was like I don't know if I needed that. I feel like the edit was a little bit. Not
They
my
didn't care
favorite
about
thing.
Jamie. Jamie
No
served
one
a purpose.
does. No one did, but I feel like that's a bit of a disservice because I think there was more of an interesting character there, than they really let. Maybe not. It could have gone either way. But Foster, the immunity challenge. What do you think about it? We had them holding on to ropes.
I think that here you have 2 options here, right? Once again, just like and we said I didn't say this with the reward challenge, but we've seen the reward challenge before exactly that way before. This reward,
we've seen this before.
Yeah, this immunity challenge, we've seen this before, but it's either in this situation, it's either a ball or it's a stack of something. right? And they'll make it higher and higher depending on the how big the item is.
Yeah, like like I don't know, and ultimately this came down to between Jamie and Heidi in this challenge. Like they were the two best at it. They even got to the next phase of it where they got to take a break in between. The ball here, I don't know. Like I'm not sure what makes somebody good at this or not good at this in terms of physical characteristics. I guess upper body strength helps, but just the ability to
Concentration.
Stay really still.
Oh, you know what? One immunity challenge I just thought of that I haven't seen in a while is the one where they have the balancing stick and they have to like decide. They have to be told what plates and cups to get and stack them up
Yeah.
as they're
Yeah.
balancing it.
It reminded you of that.
Yeah, just now. Yeah, that's a good one. I'd like to see come back.
You know what challenge I want back?
What's that?
The
Pressure
same one
cooker?
I want for it's pressure cooker. It's always pressure cooker. Hold on to it the longest wins. That's it.
What happened to the challenges where we used to have to eat like spiders and gross things? And all
No,
that?
the same thing with Survivor Auction. They got rid of it.
Well, like there used to be more like differences between these competitions in the different episodes, and now every challenge is the same. I feel like every challenge is sort of whatever, and I'm just like, okay, somebody's got to win it, but does it really matter? Like, who is the best at this particular skill or not? Like, or should it
Well,
be?
obviously
more...
they deserve to win because they can hold a ball on a plate the longest.
Right.
I deserve.
But on the other hand,
I deserve
like,
$1 million.
So it's just, if you want to talk about what makes you a good player, what makes you a good Survivor player, like is there any way to control the randomness? Because depending on what you are individually good at, your build, what skills you may or may not have physically, like Jeff says in this episode, like an immunity win at the right time could be huge, and I agree with that. But on the other hand, it's completely random. Like they're not going to like say like, well, this is the type of Survivor player. This would be what is the perfect Survivor player? I don't think it could exist because I don't think that there's a challenge that somebody wouldn't be necessarily good at. There's
Joe.
somebody, who?
Joe the jewelry maker. You say who's the perfect Survivor player?
Joe the jeweler.
Yeah, Joe the jeweler. At challenges.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay. Anything else to say about this immunity challenge?
Boring. Not really. It was yeah, exactly boring. Yeah, it was. It didn't last very long. Like Lauren, once again, Lauren just hung in there again, right? Like the longest, right? It wasn't that the other one was harder, but it was against Danny, right? I think that she won against, right? It was the
She did. When Danny farted at Jeff. She won that one.
I can't remember which one that was the first one.
Holding onto the wood panels, and you had to
wood panels
hang off your feet.
Yeah, I think.
Okay,
Here it is. Here, let's look back.
Don't lose your focus. Channel whatever you need to. Jeff. Danny. That was nice. Well timed.
Good recap clip.
Benny, your reaction
of the show, really.
I just looked at Benny's face. Like,
Yes, this is what it's come to. Still on television.
This is the writer's strike before the writer's strike.
right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, and so I feel like I just want to skip right ahead to tribal council because
Even tribal, like I was bored.
well, I was like, I guess
Me too.
I just thought Carolyn was gonna get voted out, and that's what so I was rooting for. Of course, I'm rooting for her. So like I was just like she kept licking her lips, and I thought that part was interesting. But then ultimately, she doesn't get voted out here. So I feel like the episode is a disservice. I'm a little bit annoyed with it more than anything. Just in terms of how they. Because ultimately, this ended up being just the majority of lines voted out Jamie Lynn. Okay.
See, they could have combined it. Could have combined both episodes.
Right. So, guys, let's just take this down for just a moment. And
Thanks. I didn't need any more.
I know. Sorry. Let's just. I guess we'll do a quick draft update here in terms of who's got who. So Jeff is out of this draft, guys. Team Jeff. He had.
Good try, Jeff. Good try.
Yeah. He's done. So the only people who can win this draft now are Sean. He has Jam Jam. Foster, of course, has Carolyn. And I have Carson.
Yeah, you have Carson. That's a good. You and me are looking in a good position so far. Who's got Jam Jam again?
Sean.
Well, he's looking real good too.
He's looking really good too.
Sorry,
And
Jane, of course. Just shout out to Jane.
And Jaemeel has Lauren. Don't forget about Jaemeel. I forgot.
Jane has Heidi.
Good second place victory coming up.
Yeah. Okay. So and Jane is Heidi, who we are almost sure will not win.
Will not win.
So let's have a look at what's coming up for the finale here, because we only have one episode left in this season. So
this was the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
We're so happy to be in the final 5. This is the last leg of the game.
Next time on the season finale of Survivor.
Everyone here knows that I can beat them.
I'm ready, and I want to fight my way to the end.
I don't want second, third, or fourth. I want sole survivor.
This is the difference between winning $1 million or not.
So I hear her when she said she doesn't want second, third, or fourth. We don't always get what we want. Okay. So are you going to get second? Nope. Are you going to get third? Nope. Fourth? All signs point to yes.
Foster, are you excited for this final 5? Is how are you feeling about this going into the finale?
He looks excited.
I think that I'm happy with who's left to be able to select to win. I guess based on the final, with the jury in the final 5. But what I guess I'm not happy with is the lack of what's the word I'm looking for?
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, that's exactly. There's not this is not the greatest example. There's no bad guy. There's no we need to get this guy out because he's winning every immunity kind of thing, right? Or
right.
No problems. They're just okay, we need who's had the latest conversation with so and so. Okay, so you've talked to who? Okay, I gotta talk to them. Okay, good. Okay, camera crew, come on, we're gonna go talk to these guys over here, right? And it's not there's no bad blood anymore, right? It was just Carolyn last week.
If Jeff was here, he'd be eating up everything you're saying.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. There's no bad blood. We need Suhawk giving there's snakes and there's rats. You're the snake or whatever.
You plant those things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So cut a hole in the tarp. Who sabotaged that?
Jaemeel?
We just survived Big Brother Canada, where we were unfortunately just surrounded by bad people, in my opinion, right?
Well, there's reality TV stars, so there's a little bit of that, of course. It was so last Thursday we were around Survivor players, Big Brother Canada players, all fame horrors, if you will.
Yeah,
and so it's there's definitely a little bit of a vibe, but it's kind of you have to kind of it's not like people you meet every day. There's a little bit of a uniqueness to the type of people you're that are congregate together. But
from this group, there are 3 that stand out that would be fit into that dynamic that you just referred to, that have that air, that charisma. And then there's 2 others currently playing Survivor right now that don't fall into that category. Okay. So the 3 with the charisma is who I'm voting for, or who I hope wins. And the 2, it was good that they got to play, in my opinion.
And who are those people? Who are the 2?
The 2 is the non-Tika 3.
Okay. There you go. Wow. Where's my Carolyn? Wow. I need it.
The other 2, like if they were like involved with some kind of event, the crowd would start chanting, "Who are you?" Right?
Right. Like, yeah. It'd be like, are you even
I'm
relevant?
Lauren, who won season 44, and they're like, "Does anyone remember that season?" Like that's what it would be like.
Right. Okay. Well, guys, I think we're gonna sign off for tonight. This episode. We have one more episode to go. The title of the finale, is an absolute banger season. What do you guys think about that title?
Not much.
Sure, I guess. Like I don't know where that could lead to, but yeah, we'll wait to see.
Do you agree that this has been an absolute banger season so far?
Better than the last half season I saw.
Jaemeel, you've been watching you've been more consistent in your viewership. Do you feel
No.
this is
No. One, I hate the use of the word banger. It just no, right? Not every
Are there exceptions? Are there exceptions to banger?
every time it's used repeatedly, it loses all like impact. So no, I hate it. Two, this hasn't been a banger of a season. It has some interesting characters, but has there really been any intrigue where we're like captivated for multiple episodes? No. So
if Carolyn wins, will you agree it's an absolute banger season?
No, I like Carolyn a lot. She's an interesting character, but you can like Cagayan was an interesting season with interesting characters. This would just had interesting characters. That's it.
Right. But the format itself is not interesting. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't like Fast Survivor. There was nothing happen. Basically, you have possibly some of the dumbest players who allowed a 3-person group to like win out.
3 people who aren't physical threats, 3 people who aren't necessarily even the best social players, like or the best comp threats or any of those
it's
things.
The comedy of errors, basically.
Right. The Three Stooges might be a fitting name for them.
Yes. So yeah. I'm with Benny with his opinions about this season.
And Foster, any other final thoughts?
No. Let's see what the finale brings. You know what I mean? Let's see if it can salvage a little bit of what's we've been seeing the last few weeks, which has been kind of stale.
Okay, well there you go. You got some takes going. Well, we'll be back for the finale Wednesday, May 24th, to talk about it. Probably a 2-hour episode, I would imagine. So it'll probably be a late night next week. But get ready, guys. We'll be back to talk about that. If you didn't know, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting just finished our coverage of Big Brother Canada Season 11. Don't want to spoil the season, but it was a lot of fun. Jaemeel and I and Jeff, we were down at the finale, sort of, in Toronto at the Rob Has a Podcast event, and then we're hanging out with the players at all hours, like Kevin Jacobs and Kiefer and others. That was a ton of fun. I bet Peter Brown as well. So good times. Check out. We did a little bit of a walk and talk podcast from Toronto. Out there. That was the first time we ever did that. So hope you will check that out. Plus the Mary Mater Marvel Society, which is another thing we do here on the channel where we review like MCU things like Marvel Cinematic Universe. Most recently, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
You do? Why now? That shit's to this bullcrap.
Well, we do it at different times, you know.
Oh,
it's more of a periodic thing.
Okay.
But we did a whole thing. Like, we had a whole intro. Check it out. Like anyway, so yeah, Murphy made that for us. So we got some great things going on at the channel. And if you didn't know, this channel is part of a greater network of channels called the United Federation of Podcasts, which we do all kinds of different podcasts, including tonight Hold Up was going on. That's a movie podcast with Chris Murphy and Davan Skelhorn, where they do 3 movies in a theme. Tonight they were doing like airplane movies. They were doing the movie called Airplane, as well as Air Force One. And Jaemeel, the other movie was what?
The Wind Rises.
Oh, coming to us here. The
World
Mind. Chris Murphy, coming in strong here. How are you doing tonight?
I thought I'd come and see how you Mater brothers are doing. We finished strong on Hold Up there. It was a good episode.
It was a great timing because we were just talking about
Yeah,
Hold
we're
Up.
literally talking about Hold Up.
Hold Up, a movie
Exact
podcast?
moment.
Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you, what a great episode we just had. We talked about airplanes. We talked about the 1980 film Airplane with Leslie Nielsen. We talked about Air Force One with Harrison Ford. And we watched Miyazaki's last film, The Wind Rises. And there was a various degree of enjoyment from the panel tonight. You should definitely check out the
Can we
episode.
get a breakdown? I'm not saying which movies were held up and which ones didn't. How many held up out of the 3?
Uh,
Or is that a spoiler?
In my opinion,
Okay, from your opinion.
3.
Ooh,
3 held up, or 3 didn't
spicy.
held up.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Solid numbers.
3 held up. Okay, that's pretty good.
Okay.
So check out that newest episode. There's other channels here in the Federation, including X-Rated, X-Men the Animated Review Show with Davan and Andre on Tuesdays, talk about X-Men the Animated Series. And they're soon to be transitioning from the old cartoon into the new cartoon, which X-Men 97 coming out in the near future, later this year, I believe.
Still good.
Currently not on the. It's not official yet this year.
Oh, not official for this year. Okay. Well, we'll
They've-
see.
They've announced what shows are coming out on Disney Plus, and X-Men 97 was not included in the list.
Well, I guess they have to get some production, probably post-production then. So we'll see when they get onto that. Of course, Andre has the Graphic Histories podcast, which is an audio format podcast where he interviews people from film, TV, graphic novels, all kinds of different people in entertainment. So check that out. Great podcast. The Hellbound podcast is a horror podcast with Alex Blackburn, who runs the horror festival, the Hellbound Festival out in England. Benny,
Yeah,
he's
right on.
your fellow countryman,
Well, yeah, man,
Alex
we should get
Blackburn.
involved.
Yeah, we should get you introduced to him, along with Michael Chan, who's the Canadian in that podcast, talking about horror related events, movies, and different role plays they do over there. We have Trivial Debates, a show where we argue about movies, TV, sports, and more. Most recently, we did a Mother's Day themed episode, which was supposed to have Chris Seymour as the host, but guess what? He got drunk
Shit
on his
the
birthday.
bed.
And he completely abandoned us. So Kevin,
Well, hang on a minute. Did he get drunk on Mother's Day?
no, the day before Mother's Day, which happened to be his birthday.
Well, he's cutting close. It's
So-
very disrespectful.
We brought in Kevin Millard to be the emergency host, but anyway, Davin and Eamon and I were competing. Speaking of, Eamon has his own podcast now called Eamon on Track.
Oh, for real?
Where he reviews music albums with a guest, like the guest picks the album.
Nice.
So you should come on to that.
Yeah,
sometime.
definitely.
Why not?
I'm
I'm not doing much else.
You'd be like, Eamon, listen to this album and learn something, or get entertainment. So he's done he did like Nirvana's Nevermind with Jody, and he did the Pogues album. It was called what was it called? The Lash and Sodomy and Rum.
Oh, no.
Something about sodomy and rum, yeah.
Rum, Sodomy and the Lash, yeah.
Okay.
Betty, may I suggest a title that you should do with Eamon?
What? Slipknot?
Um,
Iowa?
No, in a metal mood with Pat Boone. I think both of you will enjoy that greatly.
Pat Boone. God damn.
Pat Boone does a metal cover album.
All the things I thought you were going to suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we need more Pat Boone. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, metal legend. And lastly, we have Live Long and Podcast, a Star Trek themed channel where we do Star Trek reviews of TV shows, but also Star Trek radio theater. We do our Locutors of Trek. We do long format audio podcasts. We do Star Trek radio theater, all kinds of different podcasts over there. If you like Star Trek, we've got something going on.
Nope.
It's the mothership.
So, and lots of great content. What do you think about our federation of podcasts?
Well, it's a bit too Star Trek related for my taste, but you guys do.
What show?
What makes you happy?
We just got the one Star Trek channel, plus the Federation Star Trek themed, I guess, but not directly. But,
Plus, I was at your wedding as well.
Yeah,
So-
I subject you to a lot of Star Trek, and our friendship has endured.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I must say a lot
Ben,
more.
Benny, when are you going to start a podcast?
I don't know, man. I could talk shit about anything. So
You should
I
join.
just need the equipment.
You should join the Federation. So
I got a platform.
You could do one on book reading and help Dave read
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
reading
read
wikis.
one on how to actually learn something. Yeah.
Today, Junior.
Well, thanks for being with us, everybody, and great to have you here on the podcast just to talk about how much you don't like Survivor, Benny.
It sure is. Yeah.
Always
thanks
great.
for coming in. World Mind. Hope glad you guys had a great show tonight over on Hold Up. Foster, always a pleasure, and great love your takes on all these different things and the episodes and the challenges, and Jaemeel, showing appreciation to you and your vintage now Fun Please jersey. So
Forever.
yeah. All right. And on that, I think I want to go down something Carolyn related. I don't know. Let's go on just this Carolyn quote, and we'll see you next time here on Super Maiden Brothers Podcasting. Take care, everybody. Peace.
I know, though, I gotta do what's best for my game. Which would probably be Josh. Ah!